What's up, chat? Happy Tuesday, November 16, 2021. Computers are dumb. I could say that with every bit of my human being. How'd you guys do last night? Woo-wee, man, I had so much right. And then I took some stands. Oh, not yet. And I took some stands on some guys that really hurt me. Anthony Davis, man, that's twice, buddy. That's twice. And then Evan Mobley, man, bad shooting night. Then he gets hurt. Didn't finish the last 11 minutes of the game. But other than that, man, I had such a strong core of table setters that you just see it's always something, right? Always somebody, man. Kevin Huerter got hurt. Yep. Oh, what are you gonna do? What's up, chat? Happy Tuesday. What's up? Let's start from the top. Smeezy, Rich Homie Quinn. Yeah. What up, Spen Duck? John, pocket quarterback Lamar, my love, Mia Moore, who is not getting a puppy. Lorenza. Here, Desmond said last night Slate has me contemplating being done with DFS forever. That was horrible. Lakers, Kuzma, that was just terrible. What happened last night? It's just not supposed to happen. Lakers have been really not great. Kuzma definitely got me. Spencer Dinwiddie was, kind of offsetting that. But yeah, that's tough. What are you gonna do? Desmond, man, I see you a few times getting close to retirement, man. The big one's coming. What up, Taylor? Obi-Wan, Josh Jennings, am I missing Josh plays DFS, Brody, shout out to Mobley for going 0 for 11 and then not finishing the last 11 minutes. It sucks, man. What are you gonna do? What's up, Alex? Yo, Alex, I got that DM on Twitter. I'll get you set up. Don't worry, I got you. Alex won yesterday, the week pass. Shot like Harden. I had Davis get ejected, Mobley get hurt. That's the hurt part happens, right? It does. I don't know if you guys saw the AD ejection. He already had a tech from like the first quarter. Basically, it was a weird play and his shoe came off. And he bent over to put his shoe back down and he went to tie his shoe and the referee inbounded the ball, and basically set up a power play. And AD was mad about it. He's like, what the and then you out of here because it was a second tech. So it was very weird. AD wanted to tie his shoe and the referee, gotta play the game. So what are you gonna do? What's up, J. Cole? What up, E? Made it happen. What's up, Encore? Yeah. What up, Lazarus? Sean, first time watching your stream. Hey, what's up, Sean? Welcome in. Appreciate you stopping by. Today's a little different, right? It's just 3 games tonight. Very awkward slate. There's only one game at the late lock anyway. Then you gotta sit around for a little bit. So a little bit more laid back Cadillac Jack type of vibes today. But if you are new, be sure to jump by tomorrow. Appreciate that sub, Sean. We are trying to get to 6K subs by January 1. It's gonna be tough, but I'm coming up. I'm thinking of a master plan, right? We're thinking about the daily shorts, perhaps more collabs with new content creators. I'm trying to get to 6K by January 1st. So hopefully, we can keep grinding. And so if you guys are out there lurking, you're not subscribed, it costs nothing. It's free. Hit that sub button, and you'll be in good company, right? Fortunately, I largely faded Mobley. The ownership projected to be so high that it made a decision on what to do with him. Yeah, for me, Mobley was like, man, if this guy's out here playing 40 minutes as is, with Markkanen still out, with Kevin Love still out, and now Jared Allen out, like, man, he might play the whole game. And I think they obviously shooting 0 for 11 is what it is, but didn't get the final 11 minutes of action because of an injury. So it was doubly hurtful. But what are you gonna do? What's up, Crispy? Earth to Air. What up, Mighty Saint? How we doing, boys? All right, let's talk about the officials last night. First of all, anybody remember watching the stream yesterday? And I said, I was like, I don't know about you guys, but my projections have Nikola Jokic at 69 DKP and like 72 Fanduel points, right? You remember that? It's in the VOD. And I was like, this is like 20 points higher than anybody else. And then we looked at the PrizePicks, and I was like 20 points higher than PrizePicks. So it dang near was spot on perfect projection wise, and Jokic was easily the top scorer of the slate at 69. So I am proud of the algorithm kind of like staying true to that, because we know Jokic's potential. And this is not a victory lap on Jokic being a great play, but a lot of other projection systems were way more conservative with his projection, and we know Jokic, if he can get a full game in, he's always in a blowout one way or the other. You know, his potential without MPJ, Will Barton, Jamal Murray was just super, super high. So hopefully you guys anchored around Jokic. Late news broke that Bam Adebayo would be out, so Dwayne Dedmon popped up and started sucking up a lot of ownership in the center spots, and it made Jokic even more lucrative. So your top scorers past Jokic, Porzingis and Luka Doncic both combined for 112 fantasy points on DraftKings. Luka got hurt at the end of the game. Looks like he's fine, but it's expected to miss a little bit of time. Clint Capella with a 55 fantasy point game, 20 real points, 16 boards, 5 stocks. Cole Anthony had 53. We talked about that, man. Every other game, it seems like he's contributing. Jalen Suggs being out could only help him there with Gary Harris starting. Spencer Dinwiddie dropped 50. No Bradley Beal. It's the Pelicans. DVP. Cade Cunningham, a 50 spot. We'll be looking for more of that. Tatum, and then it goes to Tatum, like 46. So after all those guys, the rest of the slate was pretty modest in fantasy points. A couple surprises, like Jetty Osman, and I think was it Okoro had a big game, but past that, it was a pretty modest scoring slate. For an 11-game slate, you expect, like, oh my God, there might be 10 50s tonight. It wasn't quite the bit, so what are you going to do? But anyway, hopefully you guys made it out alive yesterday. If you didn't, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow's today. Today's 3 games, and it's a late lock. I would say, if you're like me and this slate doesn't seem too appealing, and it almost feels like a 2-game slate, just have some fun with it, right? Be a little bit more laid back, a lot more numb to the results. Maybe zig where others are zagging, and worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a little bit beefier of a slate, and hopefully not too big. Let me look at tomorrow's schedule. By the way, tomorrow, if you guys are looking for some content to drink some coffee to, don't quote me on this. I think I'm doing the Slate Starter podcast tonight. It's either tonight or tomorrow. I think tomorrow's 17th, so that would mean we tape it tonight. So as soon as this loads, I got you on the confirmation. My computer's going so slow today. So slow. Wednesday. Yeah, so tomorrow, I guess in the morning or in the middle of the night, look for the Slate Starter podcast on the Osmo YouTube channel. So you guys can get set up into tomorrow's slate and get started on that. And then we will also be live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 game slate tomorrow. So it doesn't get better, but Thursday, 6 game slate. What are you going to do? Let me make sure we got all of the windows open. And we'll get caught up on some more chat. I need to get the rotations up, the NBA Wowie up. We got stat news up. And then we'll go through a couple of the injuries. But it's a really soft slate, right? Obi-Wan says, can I borrow your crystal ball gun? I mean, I'll victory lap the one projection at the top that was spot on, right? But obviously you can go find so many other I'm sure I didn't have Anthony Davis for 20 whatever in a ejection, right? Desmond says, I will never play Kuzma again. You think he would want to show up against his former team with Ingram and Hart? We're going to do it. Hey, man, got to have that goldfish memory. What up, Brandon? Every single Manning cast Monday Night Football guest have lost their next game. Draymond was a guest in Hammer, Brooklyn. Bro, that Draymond segment, as he was plugging his upcoming podcast, his audio kept cutting out. I'm just like, I hope his audio is better on this podcast. What up, Mundo's World? What up, Valdo? You doing all right, bro? No Luca tomorrow? Yeah. With EMAC? Yeah, I think it is EMAC. The OG, baby. Being numb and relaxed. Yo, Desmond, DFS gets a lot easier and a lot less stressful. One, if you're playing money that you don't care about, right? And I would recommend that all you guys aren't playing with rent money. And two, if you're numb to the results, hey, man, you understand that variance. A lot of the most successful players in DFS are from the poker world, right? And in poker, you understand, hey, not every hand's going to hit. You play it the right way. It still doesn't mean it's going to hit, right? There's so much variance with the flop, with other people, how they're playing and stuff like that. So it's just trust in your process and that you're making the right decisions. If you're on Kuzma, I don't think that was a wrong decision. Kuzma was my second highest owned player yesterday. It sucks. Sometimes pocket aces gonna get busted. You know what I'm saying? So don't be too hard on yourself. But also don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't be playing with stuff that you don't deposit anything that you're not fine with not seeing again, right? What up, EC Dub? Watch the Slate Starter Day. Look forward to seeing it. Man, I appreciate that. We'll have a couple of them. Tell Alex to pay you $1 million. No, I love Alex. Alex is take care of me. Thank you for sharing your NBA wisdom. Looking forward to your guest appearance. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Alex looks like Caruso. Yeah, Caruso. Yeah, Alex gets that a lot. Audio was hysterical. Sounded like Teacher Charlie Brown. But then it would like cut back in, like you could understand him, and it was like, is it me? Am I losing my mind? Old Draymond. I love the Manning cast. Anyway, let me open up a couple of notes here. Usually I have a bunch of screens ready, chat. Today, about 10 minutes before launch time, which is about the time I like to go live, play a little music for you guys. My computer just was like it froze. Like it just straight up, I couldn't Control Alt Delete. I couldn't go to Task Manager, nothing. So I had to hard shut it off and turn it back on. So bear with me. We'll get some of those back up, but looks like we're good to go. So let's jump into this slate. It is going to be an easy one. No chronic today, but I think we might try and get him tomorrow for the big boy slate. And then we'll have some fun with that. So tomorrow, just remember, we will be streaming at 4 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. So back to normal time. Get the font back up. Boom. You hear that? That's the RunDFS.com train. Yep. Because it's time to let you guys know this stream is brought to you by RunDFS.com. And I have to yell it. It's in my contract. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet I'll be using throughout the duration of this broadcast, go to RunDFS.com. Find a pass that's right for you. And not only have we discounted our prices this year from the last half decade, we've also added extra utility. You guys can apply a voucher towards a Fantasy Cruncher subscription, get a little extra mileage out of your RunDFS.com subscription, and you can copy my projections, put them in a CSV file, upload them to Fantasy Cruncher. And I said this in chat. We got a couple guys that are migrating from other Optos to Cruncher. I do think a lot of optos are really just as strong as the projection, but if you're in the VIP community, I can help you a little bit more navigating through the Cruncher optimizer, because that's one I use, right? So I couldn't really offer explanations on how to achieve a certain thing somewhere else. So if you guys want to try out Cruncher, I definitely recommend it. And then yeah, get into the VIP membership, and when you do, click the VIP portal. You'll find a link to the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. We'll also have NFL Week 11, 12, I don't know what week this is, set up tomorrow by the time that showdown slate starts. And there's a Discord link, right? Get into that Discord. Every day before lock, we do a 2-hour pre-lock voice chat. You jump in this Discord, you click this voice channel right here, and we're vibing, we're chilling, we're hunting down prop bets and talking some plays, right? What's up, Sheldon Trott? Is his stars and scrubs night or just regular players? Man, that's gonna be the question, right? Turner was a bust. Miles Turner did actually bust for sure. Is Turner busted last night? Stop it. Anyone else show up in chat that didn't get a shout out? Nope. Shout out to you guys out there for hanging out and watching on a lazy 3-game slate afternoon. Hey, game number 1 tonight, the Golden State Warriors at the Brooklyn Nets. Project starting 5 for the Warriors: Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Kevin Looney taking on James Harden, Bruce Brown, DeAndre Bembry, maybe Kevin Durant and Blake Griffin. We got 2-2-2 and another one 2 as our total. And the home team Brooklyn Nets currently favored by 3. Fun game we got here. A bunch of winning basketball teams finally going at it. Hopefully it lives up to the hype. The Golden State Warriors are coming into this game with the league's best defensive efficiency. I have been, I'm going to say skeptical, but I have been at least appreciative of the Warriors' schedule. I guess I'll display it on the screen. They did just lose to the Hornets, by the way, but for the most part, the Hornets have had a little bit more favorable strength of schedule than I think the field wants to give them credit for. We know now that the Lakers not that good, so their opening night, win against the Lakers, maybe not as magical. Then they went down to the wire with the Clippers. Then they had the Kings, the Thunder, a couple times the Grizzlies, the Hornets, the Pelicans, the Rockets. The Hawks are decent. The T-Wolves, the Bulls, that was the shorthanded Bulls, no Vucevic. And then, of course, on the road, losing to the Hornets. So I'm not here to say that the Warriors aren't really doggone good because they passed the eye test. But have they faced above average basketball teams? I'm going to leave that one up to you. And is tonight the test? Is tonight the true, right? You shut down Kevin Durant, James Harden. All right, maybe we're on to something here. And it's a road game, so it is what it is. But Kevin Durant, last night, Draymond Green said he's not looking forward to having to guard KD tonight. KD's 10.3K on DraftKings. Harden is 10.6K on Fanduel. If we go look at the soft player projections to start the slate off with, KD came in with my second highest projection right now. James Harden third. So 2 of the top 3 scorers projection-wise on the slate, with Steph Curry coming in right behind. I'm fine with putting Curry on top. I have him as the poster boy here. I do think that he would be the guy that the Warriors offense lives and dies by in this spot here. So the 3 obvious guys are the 3 obvious guys. Who do we play past those guys? Well, Nick Claxton is still out. Joe Harris is out here, and Harris is an interesting absence here because you wonder if this is going to create more shots for someone else. So what we saw in that last game was Patty Mills thrived. So I know I pulled this lineup from RotoWire, but Patty Mills just might be the pure beneficiary here at $3,800. 31 minutes against OKC, 9 for 12 from downtown. We've seen him be a guy that can chuck shots, and if at best he's a $3,800 version of Joe Harris, I think on a 3-game slate, he's going to crack the player pool and be rostered pretty aggressively. Now, he's not really going to offer much in lieu of peripherals elsewhere, but the shot volume should be there on a 3-game slate. So Patty Mills, welcome to the player pool as one of the value guys here. And then how do you guys feel about some LaMarcus Aldridge, who has really been contributing a few big fantasy point games in the absence of Nick Claxton? Just about 22 minutes a game, but 3 of those last 4 games in 22 minutes exceeding 30 fantasy points. It seems like a lot to ask for in 22 minutes, but he's been getting it done. So a 3-game slate. So one of the things I always say in a 3-game slate is value becomes a little bit more subjective. We can weigh the floor a little bit more than we usually do, right? We're usually, like last night, 11-game slate. I really only care about ceiling, who's going to crush their price point, because there's 22 teams to choose from, who's going to go bananas. Well, on this slate, I can get away with the 5Xers a little bit more than chasing 8X from everybody, right? So LaMarcus Aldridge might be one of those guys. I play for 25 to 30 fantasy points in the mix as well. So give me some Patty Mills. Give me a little bit of Aldridge. I'm going to have way more Mills than Aldridge here. And then in this front court, Blake Griffin is a viable punt shot in the dark if you think 20 plus is there for him. But Bembry, Bruce Brown, any of these other like ancillary nets screaming, poking at you guys, let me know in the chat. The Warriors, though, it comes down past Curry. I think Draymond Green is going to be a pretty strong option for me on DraftKings at 6,400. I think 30 plus fantasy points is the target. And I think in this matchup, it's fine. It's a tough matchup defensively if he has to worry about Kevin Durant both ways. But he's not a guy I play for offense either. I know he'll stuff the stat sheet. 7 plus assists per game, 8 plus rebounds per game. If he gets points, it's all just bonus at this point. And then Wiggins and Poole. You guys got any leans on Wiggins versus Poole? I feel like both are extremely viable on this slate. And how many Warriors and how many Nets is too much to put in one lineup? Because that's going to be a question I have to tell my opto. Could you guys see a world where 4 Warriors get there on this 3-game slate, right? Could you full stack Curry, Poole, Wiggins, Draymond and feel like it could be optimal? Interesting, I don't know, thought. Let's get caught up in chat here, see what you guys are doing here. Quinn says Golden State isn't messing around this season. No, they're not, but I will say Golden State are winning. I mean, the Hornets game was tough, and I think the Hornets are bad, but they got too much talent to be that bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a stunner, but at least the Warriors are doing what they're supposed to do against teams they're supposed to do. So I'm not knocking their results so far. I just want to put a little bit more context to their strength of schedule. And with that said, I really don't even know who's good in the NBA anymore, right? It feels like there's like 2 good teams in the league right now. Yeah. I'm not hating on the Dubs. I'm just trying to put some context to it, right? Every time, man, I know the story. Yeah. What about the 5K players? Maybe I should use 2 7K players to risk 6K. So I think that's going to be slate contingent, right? I think some slates will give you a ton of 6, 7K, 8K guys that can drop 50 plus, and then usually the smaller slates, unless there's some big boy scratches, the pricing for today felt like it was mostly efficient, right? I didn't feel like there was an egregious. Maybe Patty Mills should be a little bit more expensive considering, but for the most part, I don't think there's like big discrepancies in prices today to feel like that should be a rule of thumb here. But I do think, like yesterday, there's plenty of slates where 6, 7K is pretty deep, right? Quinn says Jordan Poole, he gets that second unit usage as the primary ball handler. And when Curry's on the bench, he's been solid all season. So let me pull up the injury report here for the Warriors, because I did see Gary Payton land on it, and I don't know if he's closer to in than out. A lot of times, even if they're probable, sometimes I still get a Q tag. NBA Roto World depth chart. Brooklyn got way more value in that game. I can see a 4 Brooklyn lineup placing high. So Harden, Durant, I can see, Patty Mills for sure. Bruce Brown, Bembry. I always tend to get Bruce Brown wrong. I almost like never play him. Even like usually, especially when he's chalk, I usually like go the other way here. But I guess in the absence of Joe Harris, depending on the starting lineup. Now, Patty Mills, I believe, started that second half last game when Joe Harris got injured, right? So Patty Mills just might straight up start here, but I don't want to misspeak. I really just pulled this lineup from RotoWire. Golden State, yeah, okay. Gary Payton's probable. So Let me make sure I'm not lying to you though on that Patty Mills situation against OKC. Patty Mills started the second half, so Patty Mills could just straight up start today and be a 30-minute player. And if that's the case, Patty Mills might be my highest owned player. Golden State, whether or not you believe they're the best defense in the league, They will run really, really fast, so it's going to create more possessions. And this is projected to be the highest scoring game here. So I'm with you on the thought that the Brooklyn value is definitely lucrative, and I think Patty Mills would be that guy for me. What about Brown versus Bembry, though? You guys thinking anything special on those two in your lineups? I think I got 30 plus minutes on Bruce Brown, so he would probably be the guy that I'm a little bit closer to leaning to, just because minutes equal money on a slate like this. That's not confusing. The Brooklyn Nets have a guy named Bryce Brown. So guys, when you're making your lineups tonight, don't play Bryce Brown. All right, 4,200 on Bruce Brown. So if we get him to 30 minutes, if we look at that minute rotation, 28. All right, maybe we get to a little Bruce Brown too. And this definitely could be a small ball type of game, considering the Warriors could run this small. Maybe KD plays a little bit of small five, right? Bembry's a better player. I don't disagree with it. Patty might be in line for like 30 minutes today. Yeah, I put Patty Mills at 31 minutes, so he'll probably be my highest owned value play, just thinking forward, right? Brown's going to be chasing Curry all night. I'm with that. Anyway, Steph Curry, 10.9K on DraftKings. This is going to be one of those weird spots where I want all of these big 50, 60 fantasy point potential guys. But obviously, I can't get to them all unless I just run a stupid amount of lineups. So I'm curious to see where you guys would rank the big three from this game. So while I get ready for the next game, chat, rank him. Curry, Harden, KD, in what order? I think for me, it's going to be 1 Curry, 2 Harden, 3 KD. I don't know. You guys think Draymond can make Harden the better play here? Wiggins is really rock solid too. I think it's Curry 1 though. You guys at least agree with that or nah? KD, I have KD for like an inch less fantasy projection less than Harden. So I guess it would be Curry 1, Harden 2, KD, even though I have Curry less. J. Cole says KD, Harden, Curry. That's fair. Steph's still going to get his. What a big timer. Quinn says Steph, KD, Harden. I'm fine with that. KD, Curry, Harden. So it looks like Curry is collectively either 1 or 2 so far from you guys. Bryce White to play. No, don't do that. How do I fit in Harden and Durant? I would assume it has to do with Patty Mills. Curry, KD, Harden for Sweezy. KD number 1 for Sauce. Okay. All right. That's going to be kind of like a small sample where the field might be at, because I do think that's important. Value, right? If we're looking for value on this slate, you guys got your eyes set on getting 2 of these studs in there. It ain't just Patty Mills, right? Patty Mills can't be the only way that happens. You're gonna have a couple more pieces of value to make it happen. Have you guys considered an Andre Iguodala, a Damian Lee, anybody like that? I think Iguodala is a little intriguing here. I got him right now soft projected for most minutes off the bench at $3,100. We know he can be a bit of a stat stuffer contributor. If you got 20 plus fantasy points from Iggy, do you think that would get the job done here? 25 minutes against Charlotte. Didn't do much, but I tell you what, 25 minutes on a 3-game slate, every now and then that's going to produce 23, 25. So he might be somebody I put in my risky value pool and let her rip. Do you guys have any leans on Damian Lee? Gary Payton feels a little bit more defensive than offense, but he's another guy that's been making a name, carving his name out for himself in this offense. But I will also say there is some cleanup duty in his minutes lately, and I think there was a game where Damian Lee might have been limited or out. So I don't want to be overzealous on his minutes, right? Big Timer says KD's on another planet right now with how he's shooting versus the Rocket. I think I saw some crazy stat that KD has like the most points per game or something like that, with but not leading the league in field goals attempted per game, and that's just a reflection on how efficient his shooting has been. It's just nuts. He's great. Relentless Josh says Iggy and Patty and stuff. All right, let's move on to the next game. We'll come back if we have to. 76ers at the Utah Jazz. Project starting 5 for the Sixers: Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Furkan Korkmaz, Tobias Harris, and Andre the Giant. Drummond taking on Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, and Rudy Gobert. It seems like the Jazz love to find themselves on 3-game slates, and people tend to look at this game as kind of an island game that doesn't exist. And we just focus on, the first game, and then whatever the last West Coast game is. It's a 10-point spread, right? It's an uphill battle for the 76ers, but maybe in the interest of leverage and getting into some contrarian exposure to some decent uses, decent minute projections, the 76ers might offer us some surprising results here. Now, I'm not saying we're going to load up on 76ers and full stack them, but early on, we've got a pretty long laundry list of outs. Danny Green, Joel Embiid still down, Matisse Thybulle still down. So we can get to some aggressive minute projections on most of these Sixers. So I know that the team and themselves may not put up a big fight here, but I think a lot of individual players still have a little bit of upside here. I've got dumb minutes on all these 76ers. You let me know if you disagree with some of these steep minute projections here, but Tyrese Maxey, 38, Seth Curry, well into the high 30s, Korkmaz, Tobias Harris. I mean, this is just a lot of minutes equal money. Andre Drummond seems like the easiest to push back on because he's kind of in no man's land, pricing rights, because he gets the defensive player of the millennium, Rudy Gobert. I get it, but I think these guards, especially these guys that can chuck threes from at a high clip, I think those guys enter the lineup considerations for me. Korkmaz at 4,600. We've literally seen him play 45 minutes in a game for Doc here. So a couple guys that are interesting to me as maybe some leverage, lower owned guys to kind of sprinkle in there. And then if you're into revenge, Gorgeous Niang, 4,100. I got him at 27 minutes going against his old team, Utah Jazz. And the 76ers defensively, not going to offer a lot of resistance with this lineup, at least. So could we get signed up on some Mike Conley at 5,700, 6,200 to get mid-30s? Could Donovan Mitchell just be a obvious 50 bomb, right? We might be paying $10K for 50 in the Brooklyn Golden State game. Could we get that out of Donovan Mitchell, right? I don't think it's a 0% sum range of outcome here. So I probably introduce him into the player pool, kind of keep an eye on where the ownership is projected on him. But man, he's been giving you 45 plus more than he hasn't. And I think this matchup is going to be pretty favorable for him. So I keep that in mind. I would start him off right now as a tier 3, high tier 3, and I might be thinking about leveraging him up to a tier 2 just to kind of really drive a wedge into the core of my lineups to be as different as possible without being as dumb as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like different with a purpose. So a couple of names that stick out to me. Ultimately, though, we're expecting a lopsided game, double-digit spread here in Utah, but can't really predict blowouts at a high rate of success here. So I think the Jazz become an interesting team to get behind. Rudy Gobert, 7,700 as well. The matchup's fine. I think Gobert can give you 10 to 15 real points with 14 to 20 rebounds. I'm curious to see how Drummond and Gobert have done against each other in the past. I feel like, I already had a stat muse open, but let's run this back 2 ways. Just out of curiosity, because I do feel like this would be a tougher matchup for Drummond. Would you guys get to any Drummond after 2 slates where he's burned the field with Tobias Harris back versus Rudy Gobert last 10 games? Or could Drummond be that ridiculous 50 bomb? So Andre Drummond, last 10 games against Rudy Gobert. Let's keep an eye on the minutes here. We'll say the last 4 games have all been solid minute-wise. I'll tell you what, 40 plus is not like the worst considering the matchup. A lot of this goes back all the way to 2019, 2018, so I'm not going to be too hyped up on the results here, but was just a little curious about his history here because it feels like not a great matchup. So give me Mitchell and give me these 76ers guards. What are you guys doing with this game before we move on? Lorenzo says, I like the Jazz today. Conley, Mitchell, and Royce O'Neal for me. Josh says, Maxey Harris with a Mitchell run back. The Jazz supposed to be this tough defense, but have been in shootouts with bad teams. Have they? I know there's been some games where there's a couple guys out. Let me go look at the team metrics chart and get an idea on their overall defensive efficiency. They're grading out closer to league average than we're used to them seeing. I know Conley missed a few games, but yeah, I'm fine. Like I'm fine with not being scared. Right, everybody's got to bleed red on a from time to time, and I do think the Sixers could have some shooters that vibe out here. Let me pull up. What do I want to pull up? Let me pull up Tobias Harris. Could Tobias Harris be one of those obvious in retrospect plays tonight? So let's go pull up the Wowie. If you guys want to use this tool, exclamation point AMF in the chat. Check them out. This tool is free. You can get more bells and whistles for a little bit more on a sponsored deal, and they have NFL tools as well. So let's take off Embiid. Let's take off Siemens, and let's put Toby on. We'll do two queries, one from the beginning of last year, and then we'll look at this year, because Tobias Harris feels like somebody that can easily get lost in the sauce today as well. He's averaging 1.125, about 1.25 fantasy points per minute on both sides here. So if you do got this game staying close enough, long enough, yeah, Royce O'Neal has been a pretty scrappy wing or low wing defender. Could he stun you, right? I guess that would be a good way to approach this game. If this game shocked us, how would it shock us? Well, the shock would be if the Sixers put up a fight. If the Sixers put up a fight, who would be the guy that is most likely to benefit in the 35-minute competitive game? Well, how about Tobias Harris, who leads the team in usage and fantasy points per minute since the beginning of last year? We'll roll that back forward this year. And set it from October 19th and just see if that 124, 126 has differed. It's about the same. So also over fantasy point per minute is Andre Drummond, but I'm not running to that. And then we know Maxey and Korkmaz. I think the allure of the rest of the Sixers is just how many minutes Doc Rivers has them playing, right? Maxey! Get back in there. I just got out, coach. I don't care. Get back in there. All right, main event tonight. Before we jump into that game, take a pause for the cause, and we got to talk about what do we want to plug? Let's plug PrizePicks, man. PrizePicks.com. If you guys are not on the PrizePicks, I talked about it on last night's big slate. I think the PrizePicks becomes more lucrative for us as a player when there's more stuff to choose from, and those big slates like last night, there's so many players and props to choose from, and those are the nights where you feel a little bit better about everything that's on your card. Tonight's a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit tighter, but it's still something I would recommend you guys checking out, adding it to your daily spend, diversify your daily spend. Dez, where you at? If you guys are struggling on the DFS side, but you know how to research, you know how to identify positive matchups for individual players, that's what we do. Well, this is a way you can kind of simplify that process and still get a little something in return. Go to prizepicks.com. If you use promo code Gundecker when you sign up, they will double your first deposit up to $100. So $20 bill turns into $40. And today they're doing a Taco Tuesday promotion. I don't see any tacos on names right now, but if you do, apparently the taco represents a discount on a player, meaning that let's say Kevin Durant was projected at 29.5 real points. They throw a taco on it, and next thing you know, you could bet it at 23 for X amount of minutes. So look out for the taco throughout the day. I told you guys yesterday my favorite way to approach PrizePicks for basketball. Boom, there's a taco right there. Tyrese Maxey, instead of his picture. Well, now I'm just hungry. 57% off of his fantasy score projection. If you're watching right now, you have no reason not to sign up using code Gundacker and bet the over on 9.5 fantasy points, right? If we go to my player projections tab, Control F, Maxey. Come what happened to fantasy draft? I just think they just went under. I have Maxey at 36 fantasy points. They're letting you bet 9. Look for those tacos all day. You don't have to put this in a 4-legger, man. You put that with another one, make it a cash game, double up, boom. There's no reason not to go and hunt for these tacos and make a little money, man. They do some really fun promotions all the time. Happy hours on Fridays, whatever. So look for the tacos tonight. And then, yeah. But past the discounted plays here, I like betting against the fantasy points because I have a whole algorithm that already kind of accounts for a little bit of the volatility on the individual stats, and then kind of, I don't know, I'm here because I'm a fantasy sports player, so I don't tend to bet too much on the individual props. I tend to stick to the fantasy projection side. So if you are a member of the RunDFS.com VIP community, check out the player props tab in the spreadsheet, and then a couple of these projections sometimes are so different from PrizePicks. If you trust me a little bit more, I would take my picks versus theirs, and then I would bet the over. So a couple names that I'm usually pretty aggressive on and I'm usually pretty right about. So DeJounte Murray kind of sticks out. I got him at 47 fantasy points. What do they have him at? Just out of curiosity, they have him at 40. So it's still a grind, but I still like the over on 40. Remember Fanduel scoring, so the steals and blocks are more lucrative. And they have Paul George at 46. I have Paul George for a lot more than 46. I have him leading the slate right now at 57. Now that could change when I do some more sweeps and some more fine tuning. But those are a couple names that kind of stick out. So if you like one of those, pair that with the Maxi over and lock it in, and then come back in however many minutes and find the next taco, right? Looks like they're going to have several tacos throughout the day. Taco Tuesday as their promotion. So sign up using code Gundecker or else. Going, what happened to fantasy drafts? Fantasy draft went under. They had been trying to do things right. I like fantasy draft. They just went under, man. Some sites just aren't successful. I don't think it was any fault of theirs. I don't know if they just didn't differentiate their product from others. They were definitely trying several ways to stay in business. I think they bought the debt of Fantasy Aces. You remember that site? They were trying rake-free promotions. They were trying monthly subscriptions, and people just didn't play there, and they weren't able to turn a profit. So that's it. That's all that happened. Taco Drop. What up, JC's Man Cave? Nathan, Maxi definitely running more than soccer players per game. Yeah. Him and the other night, we played Cork Moz. He played 45 minutes and had the worst shooting night ever. But, I mean, that's one of those goldfish memory things, right? If you're a guy that's eligible to play 45 minutes and shoot a birthday, I'm still gonna have some exposure to you, so. I said, yiggity, what up, Tall? I see Harris, Cork, Moz, and Curry having decent games. The Jazz are really tough inside, and the fact that they're good shooters is probably the way to work the Jazz. Yeah, and game script, right? If you think the Jazz are going to be leading by a significant amount, 10-point spread, it's logical to think that, hey, we can't just be dunking on Gobert all night, right? We're going to have to shoot. Shooters going to shoot. So Curry, Cork, Moz, Maxi, guys that can get hot from behind the arc, even Tobias to an extent, you would need those guys to thrive. So I definitely like game scripting those guys into a little extra volume, a little extra responsibility here. Just made a deposit, gonna turn this 200 into 2K. Wish me luck. Let's go, Jeff. Be responsible. By the way, guys, I love PrizePicks, but a lot of you guys jump on there and try to hit that four leg parlay or whatever. Be responsible, right? Learn to appreciate the flex play, right? Learn to appreciate the 2-pick cards, stuff like that. Don't go crazy. But you're good. What's up, pocket quarterback? Lamar Jackson, main event tonight. The San Antonio Spurs up against the Clippers. Guys, have you hit that thumbs up yet? If you're out there lurking, have you double-checked that subscribe button? Hang out with me, man. We love the good vibes. So if you're into good vibes and cashing big, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, and be sure to come back tomorrow. Spurs at the Clippers, main event tonight. DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Doug McDermott, Dougie McBuckets, Keldon Johnson, Drew Eubanks taking on Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, Paul George, Nick Batum, Ivica Zubac. A 219.5 total, 7.5 point spread in favor of the home team, LA Clippers. So this game feels the most stackable, right? And what I mean by that is there's price points at every level, but you can justify a lot of plays here, more than 3 per team, and you don't have to get to a bunch of, like, the Nets game has 3 10K guys that you want. Well, this one has Paul George, and that's about it. DeJounte Murray's working his way up there, so we'll give him some credit. But Derek White's very playable here. Keldon Johnson's been getting a lot of big minutes. Devin Vassell's, I got him projected for a decent chunk of minutes here. And then Thad Young and Drew Eubanks in life without Jakob Poeltl, they've been kind of staggering back and forth on solid games here, and on a slate where we need some extra salary relief. How about 4,400 Eubanks? That comes back at a high 20s fantasy projection for me right now. So maybe we dig into that a little bit. And we don't really have that center that we need today, right? 26, 28, 37. So we definitely wouldn't want that 14 that he put up against the Lakers. But if we get those high 20s, man, you get a Eubanks right, you get an Iguodala right, you get a Patty Mills right, something like that. Even a Korkmaz or one of these obscure Sixers guards, right? That'll open up some salary for the big boys. So Eubanks definitely in the player pool. And then I usually tend to stagger Eubanks and Thad Young. So like on my opto, I'll say if a lineup has Eubanks, no Thad Young. If a lineup has Thad Young, no Eubanks. I might have to think about not making that a force rule today, just because it's a 3-game slate and I just need all the best projections I can get. But typically I tend to lean on one or the other for a little bit of upside. But I got them at very similar projections right now, right around 30 fantasy points. So I'll vibe with it. On the Clipper side, Eric Bledsoe, man, this is my dude. 5,200. Got him for deep minutes. Terrence Mann has a Q tag on him. So let me see if I can get to the nitty gritty on that one. He's got a Q tag with left ankle sprain. He tweaked the ankle versus the Bulls on Sunday. It's not considered serious, but if he's unable to play, Nick Batum will have a higher floor, and we may see more of Luke Kennard. So that is a blurb from NBC Sports Edge. So if that happens, Terrence Mann does represent a decent chunk of minutes and every now and then a spike fantasy game. But I also think inherently it would perhaps boost the floor of Eric Bledsoe. Or if Mann would be out, Bledsoe's a guy that can already see 30 minutes a game. So I'm still here on Bledsoe. I think these 5K guys, 30 might not wow you on a normal size slate, but I think on today's slate, I'll take the 30s from my 6K guys. So I like Bledsoe. Reggie Jackson, another guy I can roster. I think this is a really fun game stack here. Just out of curiosity, how are we doing both teams on some DVP metrics here? So San Antonio, I guess we'll go alphabetically and make it a little bit more easy to navigate. San Antonio, looks like their weakest points for fantasy have been point guard in the front court, and then on the Clipper side, they've been pretty strong all the way around, except the shooting guard. So I think DeJounte Murray is my favorite Spur just because of his propensity to stuff the stat sheet. And then on the Clipper side, man, I love them all. I do think Paul George, I don't know, I guess because my soft projection liked him so much, and he's coming down in price, right? He's not 10-6. I don't know. I'm fine with Paul George, but I do feel like Paul George on average lately has just been like a high 40, and in comparison to the Harden, to the Curry, to the KD, I don't know. I just feel like Curry would be my favorite stud, right? There's a world where the Clippers are competitive without the ceiling game from Paul George. But if you believe that, Warriors all the way on the road and Harden and KD are in the mix, you're probably going to need that super strong game for Curry. So for me, it just makes the most sense for Curry to be the more logical stud to go after. But I would assume I'm not thinking much different than your average field, right, player. I think everyone's thinking that way. So I guess maybe I should respect my projections here a little bit and love the fact that Paul George is coming in at such a high Fanduel projection that it'll probably be my highest Fanduel stud. We'll see. We'll run it. The San Antonio Spurs, some of the team metrics that stick out here. One thing that sticks out the most, if we look at blocks per game allowed, the Spurs are top 5 right now in blocks per game allowed. about 6 blocks per game, so might get a little extra defensive peripherals in that regard, and maybe that's what's helping the projection here on Paul George. But Bledsoe can get you some sneaky blocks as well, and then Zubac in that front court. And I think center is really the keys to this one, right? There's not really that must play get after center, and maybe Zubac benefits here, and maybe Hardenstein gets some extended run at 3,500. I think there's a lot of volatility to this play. But Hardenstein is, I call him Baby Jokic, right? He's not Jokic, he's Jokic. And if you get, Zubac into like foul trouble or something like that, whatever, if you can game script some extra run here for Hardenstein, remember Ibaka went to the G League, per minute, he's an absolute monster. So if you're thinking about how to get a little different on a 3-game slate, Hardenstein could be that dude if he fell into 20 minutes. You saw 25 minutes against Minnesota, 40 fantasy points, 3 blocks, a steal. Like I said, he's not Jokic, he's Jokic. So 3,500, you'll be in my player pool, at least on DraftKings. So a couple names to get a little different. So if you're taking notes, asterisk next to Terrence Mann. Outside of that, there's really not a lot of lingering news that shakes the slate that we're waiting on, right? What are you guys doing with this Clippers-Spurs game before we roll out of here, man? Give our yeah, man, get them likes up. Where are we at on likes, by the way? 61. I'll take it. Shout out to you guys, man. No giveaway today. We'll do a giveaway tomorrow, probably, right? So if you guys want to win something, come back tomorrow. Durant 40+ real points on his old squad. You like that, Josh? I know Draymond was a little cordial last night. The old parking lot narrative. Maybe you put that on TV and some sparks start flying, right? Lorenzo says we have to remember, without Ben, the 76ers are terrible against the wing. Yeah, not just Ben, without yes, for the wing, but their defensive efficiency, a lot of that is on the back of Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Danny Green, and none of those guys are on the court for them tonight. Mills on every DFS show in a 3-game slate bust tonight. He definitely could be, but it's just minutes equal money. And it makes sense, right? It's not like we like Mills just because, right? Joe Harris is out and Patty Mills is under 4K. And on a 3-game slate, I just said it earlier, value is just so subjective that it's not impossible for Mills to be in the number 1 lineup tonight with just 18 to 20 fantasy points. And you probably expect his shot volume to be there, especially in a fast-paced, high-scoring projected game against the Golden State Warriors. So, people don't just bust because they're high owned, right? Last night, yes, there was some chalk busts in Kyle Kuzma, maybe Mobley, but Spencer Dinwiddie was still 50-60% owned and was the pure nuts. So just because the guy is high owned doesn't mean that they're a bad play or that they're going to bust, right? Gobert 7.7K, kind of need him to go off. Yeah, if you get to those mid-tier guys, you really are looking for ceiling games, those 7-8K guys, right? You want that 50 out of Gobert, maybe you want that 50 out of Donovan Mitchell, guys like that. But I do think that's an interesting way to be a little different from the field. Maybe the field is trying to get at least 2 studs here, jam in the value. Maybe just go 1 stud, get some value, and then get a little extra at the mid-tier. So I think there is some ways to zig where the field zags on a 3-gamer, but it's at the very least not pretty. And just a reminder that there is a 2.5 hour gap from the first game to the last 2 games. So maybe just decide on what you like for the first game, right? Set some ownerships on individual players, and you could that game will probably be over, right? By the time the next game starts, and just see where you're at, right? If you're 20, 50 lineups, you set your exposures, and now you can look at your lineups and be like, all right, this guy did well, what do I need to do? Then you can go double down on your exposures from the late games and just re-swaptimize, and that would probably be my approach here. Is I don't really think I need to sweat out my exposures for the last 2 games until I see what happens in the first game, and heck, maybe even get a lot different. If you run 100 lineups, leave 20 lineups with no exposure to this game just in case it busts. So plenty of ways to be a little bit more tactically and strategically different on a 3-gamer, especially with this gap between tip-offs, right? Reggie Jackson night, I'm with that. A Brooklyn game under. Hey, like I said, I'm skeptical on the Warriors defense being number 1 in the league, but they've passed the eye test, and if you believe in this defense, Brooklyn Nets can certainly stun people for the wrong reasons tonight and go under their total. And their defensive assignments are pretty concentrated to two guys. So I don't think an under is a crazy call. Not at all. Thibault too. Yeah, Thibault's out for the Sixers too. Good call. Oh, genius. Turner cost me 200. No. Herter. Yeah, Herter hurt too, man. Herter hurt. Yeah, what are you going to do? Jalen Brunson day. Last time I played AD, got a tummy ache, and then this time he gets to... Bro, I'm telling you, man, historically, I've been an AD... I don't want to say truther, but the context being that people hate AD because he's always going to the locker room. I haven't been an AD hater. I've been more so on the I'm playing him in the right spots, but yeah, I've been a part of the 2 bus games for AD this year, and it's not been a fun ride at all. At all. Hey guys, in a couple minutes, I'm going to be in the RunDFS.com VIP voice chat. If you guys got any other questions, comments, concerns for me, though, we got a little bit of time here. You want to throw them at me. If you're not already following me on Twitter, stay connected. Twitter.com/Gundacker. And then tomorrow morning or tonight, if you're a late stalker, you're working the overnight graveyard shift, you're playing Madden, whatever you're doing in the middle of the night, look out for the Slate Starter podcast. It will be available on the Osmo channel. And I'll be chopping it up with your old pal, EMAC. And that's always fun. So if you're ready for dad jokes, corny, old references, and a little bit of basketball analysis, man, that'll be up and waiting for you in the morning or overnight, right? What exactly is a Gundacker? Me. It's not, I guess I get this question a lot. I guess it's such an uncommon name, but it's literally my birth name. So yeah, Thomas, what up, Thomas Norfleet? Any sleepers? I can go through my value projections here, see if anything's sticking out. But I think most of it's obvious. I think the sleepers would be like I don't know, like Andre Iguodala, like Isaiah Hartenstein, right? Guys that nobody's gonna play. Sleepers still gonna be giving you a little bit of risk. But I'll say sleepers today could be a guy that just gets 20, 25 fantasy points versus, 30, 35, just because of the way this slate kind of is built out, right? If Brown and Mills start, does that shake things up? No way Mills hit that many threes. So in the context of Patty Mills, right, we don't need him. We don't need him to drop 30 fantasy points or 38 like he did last slate. But I do think you're going to get a double-digit shots, and we obviously know like the reason he's in the league right now is because he's such an efficient shooter from downtown. Let KD drive, let Harden drive to the rim, and let Mills pull up. So I don't necessarily think I need the 38, 40. I do think 25 probably gets him optimal. So I don't really have a lot to push back. Yes, it's going to be scoring dependent, but the shot volume should be there. The pace of this game should be there. The responsibility to chuck up shots should be there. So I really got no pushback on Patty Mills. Obviously, I don't expect him to shoot 80% on like 20 shots or something like that, but it is very logistical. As far as Bruce Brown starting with him, I think that's the expectation. If you look at Bruce Brown has been starting, period. Really, this is just a one-to-one from Joe Harris to Patty Mills. Maybe they shake it up. Maybe they throw in a DeAndre Bembry or something like that and save some firepower off the bench. I would still like Patty Mills regardless, and I think Patty Mills would get extra minutes over Bembry if he started. But I do think the expectation is for Brown and Mills to start because that's what happened at the second half of the Oklahoma City Thunder game. Would you play Justice Winslow if Man is out? I probably wouldn't, but on a 3-game slate, like I wouldn't think you're crazy to get there. I probably wouldn't though. I think Luke Kennard, main beneficiary, guys like that, right? If you play Justice, he'll keep your wins low. For Justice Winslow, let me look at that 21 minutes from last slate. Was that pure garbage time? Looks like Winslow played. He did not play. He got a DNP last game against the Bulls, and then against the Timberwolves, Winslow played the entire fourth quarter of a blowout. So 12 minutes of those minutes came in the blowout. They get a little time in the first half. So I don't know. I guess his minutes are so sporadic that I wouldn't feel warm and fuzzy on it. But if you have expendable lineups, and you're just trying to be extremely different, I don't think it's insane. But I don't think he's going to be in my pool, even if I knew right now that Terrence Mann is out. That's a sick name. Yeah, it is, man. I appreciate it. Your birth name is Gundacker. That's literally my last name. Anthony Gundacker. Chat, I'm going to be in that RunDFS.com VIP Discord in a little bit, right? 4:30, 5:30 Eastern. We'll kick it off. Twitter.com/Gundacker. If you got any other questions, comments, concerns, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, we'll be back on the channel. I think I'll have Chronic. I think. Don't quote me on that. Have a little bit of fun with a bigger slate. Dad's bench players. What? Clarkson, Ingles? I'd rather get to like the Sixers here, but if you thought it was a blowout, maybe Hassan Whiteside blocks and rebounds his way to glory. It's Andrew. Get over to RunDFS.com. Get yourself a membership. Jump in that Discord. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's make some money, man. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe button on your way out. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.